in the peaceful countryside, where life seems to be nothing but golden sunlight and bountiful rice fields, few would imagine a lurking danger hidden beneath the calm. Herds of wild boars, growing in number, have relentlessly ravaged crops, trampled farmland, and even threatened livestock and the safety of the villagers. That's why we decided to organize a hunt, not only to chase down these destroyers, but also to protect the harvests and restore peace to this land. Will we succeed in taking down these cunning beasts this time? Let's dive right into this thrilling hunt. We began our hunt on the vast southern fields of America, one of the wild boar's most frequent raiding grounds. From our specialized hunting vehicle, we rolled slowly across trampled grass, clear signs of the herd's recent passage. As we moved across the field, a lone target suddenly appeared ahead. Instantly, we floored the accelerator, racing after it like the wind. I raised my rifle. The first shot cracked through the air, but only grazed its side. The beast charged on furiously. I fired again, yet it escaped once more, thanks to its cunning agility. I couldn't let it slip away. Drawing a deep breath, I pulled the trigger a third time. The bullet ripped through the silence. This time, the beast staggered, then collapsed among the dry crop rows. Not an easy start. A sign that today's hunt would be nothing short of tense and dramatic. What do you think? Leave a comment and let us know. Nearby, a clear signal, prey was hiding inside. We rushed toward the sound. In the dark tangle of branches, a massive shadow stirred, poised to charge. The instant it lunged at me, I steadied my aim and pulled the trigger. The blast shattered the air, the beast froze and collapsed right before my rifle without a chance to strike. A flawless teamwork with our hounds, ending another destructive target of the day. The team quickly jumped back into the truck, heading toward the open stretches of the field. Ahead, my teammate spotted a black figure fleeing in panic. We accelerated, refusing to let it escape. Once it entered our sights, we stopped the vehicle. Can you see it? Charging to attack head-on. He drew a deep breath, then fired. The echo thundered as the beast faltered, crashing to the ground across the withered field, leaving peace behind once again. Our mission to protect this land was already halfway accomplished. After fierce chases across the fields, we pushed deeper into the dense thickets, the very hideouts where the boars often lurk. The atmosphere was suffocatingly tense. At any moment, prey could burst from the underbrush, turning this into a... We moved silently into ambush position. Vegetation. Just 5 minutes later, rustling shadow bolted out. My first shot rang. Aim and fired. This time, the bullet struck true. The beast stumbled, slid across the damp soil, and lay motionless. Another threat erased, securing the crops for the season. We advanced deeper into the thickets. My instincts whispered something was lurking nearby, and just as I feared, a bush shook violently. A wild boar burst out, desperate to flee. I quickly raised my rifle. Bang! The first shot missed, but I didn't give up. A second squeeze of the trigger sent the bullet straight into its body. The beast lost balance and slammed hard on the ground. Another cunning predator subdued. What do you think of this shot? If it were you, could you handle such a sly beast? After hours of stalking in the thickets, exhaustion began to weigh us down. We decided to head back out to find a new direction. But before we could rest, our hounds erupted in frantic barking ahead. We sprinted toward the chaos. Before us, a ferocious boar was cornered by the pack of dogs. No hesitation. I aimed, focusing everything on the target. Bang! A single shot. The beast collapsed instantly, without the slightest chance to resist. And with that, today's hunt came to a close, filled with breathless moments where every step and every shot carried weight. The ferocious wild boars, enemies of the harvest, had finally been stopped. We take pride in knowing this mission was conducted fully in accordance with regional hunting laws, protecting crops and ensuring balance in the ecosystem. And we deeply thank the local villagers and authorities for their invaluable support in helping us complete this task. If you enjoy thrilling journeys like this, don't forget to subscribe and hit the notification bell so you won't miss the next hunting adventure. Wild boars, not just fierce forest creatures, but a living nightmare for those who dwell near the woods. They destroy crops, rip through fields, and don't hesitate to attack livestock or people. As their rampage grows more vicious by the day, hunting isn't just a passion anymore, it's a way to restore peace to these lands. Armed with weapons, GPS trackers, and a team of elite hunting dogs, we set out once again. Join us on this relentless journey deep into treacherous forests to confront beasts as big as nightmares. We kicked off this hunt on a vast open grassland in the American countryside, where wild boars often sneak in during early mornings searching for food. The sun had barely risen, morning mist still blanketing the field. Our team quietly double-checked all gear and weapons. Not a single word. Silence was our shield. We moved gently through tall grass, starting the ambush. The dogs were released, tasked with leading the way and flushing out prey. Roughly 10 minutes in, barking erupted, shattering the morning calm. Then, like a shadow rising from the ground, a massive wild boar emerged and began charging straight toward us. No hesitation. I raised my rifle, held my breath, and squeezed the trigger. The bullet struck its body clean. It dropped instantly, crashing into the grass with a heavy thud. Powerless now, it lay there at the mercy of our dogs. Just ahead, a nearby bush shook violently. Something was in there. I crept in closer, rifle gripped tightly. Suddenly, a black blur exploded out of the underbrush and darted forward. I didn't blink, I aimed, fired. The blast echoed, The beast flipped in the air and crashed into the grass, motionless. Walking just a few dozen meters along the edge of the clearing, I spotted and pulled the trigger. The bullet flew fast and hit its shoulder, dropping it mid-step. It thrashed briefly, then stilled. Leaving the grasslands behind, we climbed toward the rugged slopes. Steep and unpredictable terrain, ambushes, but also danger. Wind howled through the rocky outcrops, and we began noticing wild boar tracks scattered across the dusty ground. The hunt was far from over. What awaited us next was tension, grit, and the unforgiving landscape of the hillside. From a vantage point above, I spotted a boar weaving its way through rocks and brush down below. I didn't hesitate. I raised the rifle, adjusted my aim, and fired. The gunshot rang out. The boar took a few staggered steps, then tumbled into a deep ravine, lifeless in the still mountain air. The dogs barked madly ahead. Something was moving. I sprinted toward the sound. There, in the clearing at the base of the hill, stood a monstrous wild boar cornered by the dogs. Before it could fight back, I aimed for the vital zone and squeezed the trigger. One clean shot. One perfect kill. At the same time, on the outer perimeter of the chase, one of my teammates faced his own showdown. A massive boar lunged straight at him from the bushes. He didn't flinch. He locked in and fired. The bullet struck dead center between the beast's eyes. It collapsed instantly. Along a narrow mountain trail littered. Suddenly, from below the ridge, a hulking boar exploded like a missile. No time to think, I pointed the barrel, held my ground, and pulled the trigger. The crack of the shot echoed through the forest. The boar flew midair, twisting, then crashed at the base of the slope gun. After hours of chasing and close calls, this hunt came to a close, with results that from sweeping grasslands to treacherous hillsides, each shot was a testament to teamwork, patience, and hard-earned skill. Of course, every hunt was conducted within legal bounds and permitted zones.
The elders in our village always said that once wild hogs catch the scent of food, they won't stop until they've destroyed everything. I never believed it. Until the garden behind my house turned into a battlefield, trees gnawed down, soil uprooted, everything in chaos. I couldn't stand by any longer. Anger surged within me. Tonight, I decided to hunt them down and put an end to this nightmare. In Texas, where we live, the wild hog problem has become severe. The hog population has exceeded 3 million, spreading across all 254 counties and causing immense damage to agriculture and property. Economically, the estimated annual losses reach $500 million, including the destruction of crops, irrigation systems, and fences, leading to failed harvests and increased management costs for farmers. We set out in the late afternoon, heading toward a vast 5,000-hectare field where an intense hunt was about to take place. This was the time when local farmers were preparing for a new planting season, yet they lived in constant fear. Wild hogs could appear at any moment, undoing all their hard work. We immediately checked our weapons, loaded our ammunition, and prepared for battle. Look at this. The sun had barely set, and already the hogs were storming out, wreaking havoc. But with a distance of nearly 500 meters, we couldn't shoot just yet. We needed to get closer. At just 40 meters away, two of us crawled forward to avoid detection. Every movement had to be slow and precise. After careful consideration, I locked onto a wild hog and aimed for its head. But at that moment, their keen instincts kicked in. The herd froze, sensed danger, and quickly fled. Their sharp sense of smell was their greatest weapon, helping them escape in an instant. We still had a chance. On the opposite side, one lone hog continued feasting, unaware of the threat. With no time to hesitate, I pulled the trigger. A deafening shot rang out. Perfect! The hog dropped instantly. After half an hour of patrolling the fields, I finally spotted the next targets. The hogs were scattered, foraging for leftover grains on the ground. I've always had a preference for the bigger ones. Taking them down was both a challenge and a trophy worth boasting about. We took our shots. One by one, the hogs fell, their bodies littering the field. Learning from our previous shot, we positioned ourselves downwind to avoid detection. Crouching behind a bush, I quietly observed a larger herd of wild hogs. My eyes locked onto the lead sow. That was my main target. These sows reproduce rapidly, so eliminating them would help control the population. It took nearly 10 minutes of observation as the herd kept moving, making it difficult to get a clear shot. But the moment a single shot rang out, the herd panicked and bolted. This time, however, it wouldn't be enough to save them. Gunfire erupted, cutting off all escape routes. The wild hogs dropped on the spot. What a thrilling hunt! Last night was just the beginning. Tonight, we were determined to hunt an even bigger prize. Through my thermal scope, I tracked the dark silhouette of a wild hog as it quietly moved toward the bait we had set earlier. With a distance of over 100 meters, I had enough time to observe, adjust my stance, and find the optimal shooting angle. The moment the hog stepped into my crosshairs, I took the shot, a clean kill. Nearby, more shadows moved, but they, too, soon met their fate. hogs, driven by hunger, couldn't resist the aroma of food. One by one, then in groups, they gathered, completely unaware of the impending danger. Seizing the opportunity, the two of us took precise aim and fired. Through the scope, we saw their bodies collapse motionless on the ground. After the deafening gunfire, the entire field fell into an eerie silence. We thought that was it, but the hogs here were more abundant and reckless than I had imagined. Not far from us, I stumbled upon yet another large herd, each one big and covered in coarse bristles. My hunting partner and I weren't about to let this opportunity slip away. We opened fire, one shot after another. By the time it was over, not a single one had escaped. Tonight, I encountered more wild hogs than I expected, but even with our efforts, the numbers barely made it. With the situation as it is, I'll have to continue my night hunts to protect my land. Thank you all for following today's hunt. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to support the channel.
Florida is not a place that comes to mind when people think of hunting. People often think of Texas or Alabama, but for me, Florida with its vast swamps, dense palm trees, and wild vegetation is a paradise for hunters who love the harshness and drama. Especially when sitting in a buggy, you will feel like all the hunting trips are within your reach. As you can see, this buggy has no doors, is simply designed with a sturdy steel frame, large spiked wheels, and a gun mount mounted in front of the handlebars. The surrounding space was quiet, only the buzzing of insects and the steady sound of the engine underfoot. Suddenly, the sound of dogs barking rang out. A few dozen meters away from us was a large wild boar surrounded by a pack of dogs. The buggy stopped. I aimed carefully, determined the position, and fired. A loud explosion tore through the quiet air. The wild boar paused for a second and then crashed down. Although medium-sized, this wild boar was our first trophy. We continued deeper into the swamp. The place was overgrown with wild palms and low bushes. The buggy couldn't go very fast. I switched to slow mode and followed every movement of the hounds. Suddenly, several wild boars, all of them huge, rushed out from the bushes. Without thinking, we opened fire simultaneously. Perhaps frightened by the sound of the engine, they ran very fast, gradually splitting up, each running in a different direction. I continued south, where the terrain was flat and close to the grazing land, where wild boars often congregated because there was plenty of food. The car moved slowly, And at this time, we felt the cool summer breeze dispelling the heat. He spotted a herd of wild boars drinking at a small water hole on the edge of the forest. Without alerting the herd, we got out of the car and moved to a clearing about 50 meters from the water hole. Everything was quiet and peaceful. We aimed at the herd of pigs, targeting the largest ones. After an explosion, the largest wild boar fell down and the rest scattered. After harvesting the wild boars that were shot, we continued moving on the buggy. It was already afternoon. Our dogs also discovered the wild boar and tried to chase it. This time, one of our friends did not use a gun to take down the wild boar. He came up with the bold idea of catching the wild boar with his hands. Yes, you may find this sight hard to come by, but in some Florida swamps, it is not an uncommon sight. After an exciting session of catching wild boars with our bare hands, we continued to move on the buggy and search for wild boars. Wild hog hunting in Florida is not for the faint of heart. The sun, the bugs, the dirt, and the risk of a pig attack. But every trip is a challenge, a game between human bravery and the wild wisdom of nature. I drove back, my face and hands sunburned, my shirt covered in dust and sweat. The scratches from the bushes, the stinging mosquito bites, it was all worth it. I put down the gun, cleaned the barrel, and sat in the middle of the field in the hot sun, but at peace. Have you ever faced a life or death encounter with a giant and ferocious wild boar? I did. It was a moment that I often call a life or death encounter between man and wild animal. The story takes place in a dense forest in the Ardennes region in the northeast of France. I went with Pierre and Laurent, two close friends and well-known marksmen in the local hunting club. We were told by veteran hunters that there was an unusually large wild boar, estimated to be over 150 kilograms, that was constantly attacking the local farmers' pastures, digging and destroying fences. Several hunters tried, but the animal always disappeared like a ghost in the dense forest. Our hunting party had more than 20 people, divided into small groups to search for wild boar in different directions. Pierre and Laurent, I headed southwest, where the forest was deep and dense. Suddenly, a roar echoed from ahead. Not a single one, but a whole pack. The hounds rushed forward, howling urgently. Pierre whispered, "Here it is. Get ready." We slowly approached and opened fire. Loud explosions mingled with the barking of dogs. The boar was hit and rolled down the slope. After killing a wild boar, we felt motivated again. The team continued to search for traces of wild boars. The deeper we went, the more humid the forest smelled. The fallen leaves partly concealed the footprints of wild boars. Therefore, the search became more difficult. As Noelland was hesitantly moving to another area, we heard rustling not far away. We breathed lightly, held our guns firmly, and moved slowly. After a while, we spotted a wild boar moving through the trees. Quickly, Noelland took aim and successfully killed it with one shot. At noon, after an hour of rest to regain strength, although everyone was exhausted, no one gave up. While resting at the edge of the forest, we heard the barking of dogs again, along with the sound of hurried footsteps as if being chased. Pierre and I quickly held our guns firmly and pulled the trigger. The big wild boar collapsed on the spot. The others ran away into the forest. We quickly chased after them, determined not to let any wild boar escape. With great speed, this wild boar ran away into a dense area with many berry bushes. From a good position, we opened fire on it, but the boar was not hit. It managed to escape our sight. It is undeniable that wild boars are becoming more intelligent. Perhaps they have developed an instinct to avoid danger. However, what we fear is not their escape, but the possibility of their return. The wild boars that are not exterminated will certainly return in the future and continue to destroy the farm, causing much more serious damage. In the afternoon, we moved towards the edge of the forest, where the farm bordered, to gather our spoils. It seemed that we would not be able to harvest any more wild boars, but our pack of dogs discovered their tracks. After a while of chasing, we discovered a herd of wild boars, all of them large in size. Perhaps because they sensed danger, they ran very fast. We shot continuously and killed several wild boars. By the end of the day, we had killed dozens of wild boars. Some were downed with a single shot. Noelland said that shooting quickly was a natural respect we had for them. Today's video ends here. How do you feel today? Please comment below to let us know. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to support